Should you buy a $2,000 Chinese dual sport motorcycle? Well, I'm here to tell you that the answer is unequivocally, definitely, 100% assuredly, maybe? I'm the Dork on the road, and I want to be your internet riding buddy, so please consider subscribing because I am better than your regular riding buddies because I come with a mute button. We're out today doing a final ride review on the 2022 Bashan Brozz 250. Jeff at P Sports was kind enough to send me this motorcycle to test out, build, and ride for you. I've done a bunch of content on TikTok and a couple videos here on it, and the response has been overwhelmingly positive, or at least enthusiastic. People are interested in this bike. This is the 2022 model. A couple notable additions for this year. A 21-inch front wheel, that is new. They were 19-inch front wheels before, and they used to have a remote start alarm feature that was notorious for kind of draining and destroying your batteries. That actually happened to the 2020 that I had. So I'm really glad that they made those two changes. That front makes it much easier to get up and over obstacles and not having to worry about the battery all the time as well. It's just a peace of mind thing. It's got a kickstart. This is a clone of an old 70s Japanese Honda motor. This bike is similar to a lot of the other Chinese bikes you'll see out there, so it has a lot of similarities. You notice the engine is basically the same as the Hawk 250. This is a more sort of premium model with more features. It's got a nicer seat, a rack, all kinds of stuff that comes standard. Comes in a crate, you have to put it together. The bike costs $2,000, shipping is $300, so you can get it to your door for $2,300. You can save $50 if you use promo code DORKITROAD, D-O-R-K-I-T road, and that is, I do get a little kickback if you use it, so feel free to do so, or not. If you don't want to support me, that's fine. So we're out here on some abandoned-ish logging roads. This is actually the back of my property, and we're going to explore an area that I haven't actually ridden a motorcycle on yet. I just came in on kind of a rough trail that takes us from pavement directly to the logging road. So that's one of the roughest things I've done on this, and it did fine. The tires I actually like a lot. I don't think they're going to last very long. I think they're pretty soft, but the traction's really good. So we're going to go out, we're going to ride this thing around, and I'm going to give you sort of my final thoughts on it. We're doing a ride review this time because I did a really comprehensive review on the 2020 in a video which I will link for you, and I pretty much stand by almost everything I said in that video. There's not a lot that's different, so if you want a really in-depth view of like the bike and the value and what I think of it, check out that video. Today we're going to talk about this bike specifically and answer the question, is it better than a used Japanese dual sport? Things like that, common questions that come up. So let's go out, ride, and talk about how we feel about the Brozz 250. If you've seen any of the e-bike reviews, you've seen this hill we're about to go up. I always come down it on the e-bikes as they won't go up it without a lot of pedaling, and I don't want to pedal, that's stupid. There's a little ditch crossing, this is only getting worse. But we're going to go up this steep kind of rocky hill. Just to give you a sense, you know, people think these bikes can't do anything, and they can do a lot of things. They just do them slower. Oh no, this is new. See where the trail goes around the old one? But this one is new. I wonder if I can move it. Let's try. There you go. Okay, now that that's out of the way, we can continue on our journey. I'll tell you one of the things I like the least about this one is the clutch springs are super like loose. They're not tight enough. Okay, here's that hill climb. Muddy, we got some decent sized rocks. And the camera will flatten it out. It's not the hardest hill climb ever, but there's a lot of bikes I wouldn't do this on. Big rocks here. That front wheel just eats it up, man. It is just like nobody's business. So it does fine. But the clutch springs, man, you can feel them. The clutch shudders like nobody's business. And the clutch cable, I don't know if it stretches or the pads warm up, or it's still brand new. This thing's only got 100 miles on it, but it seems like I have to tweak it a lot. So that's one thing I would say if you're thinking about one of these bikes, but you're not someone that wants to spend time tweaking and messing with the motorcycle, or you don't know how. For a lot of people, adjusting the brakes and the clutch and all that stuff is not complicated, not hard. Most people wouldn't hesitate to do it. For some people, it's like, oh, I don't know how to do that. I'm afraid I'll do it wrong. This is not a great bike for you. If you want a bike that you never want to have to mess with any of that stuff with, you don't want this bike. You need to be comfortable messing with stuff like that all the time. It needs constant tweaks and adjustments. You got to mess with the choke and the idle to get it to start and run. And again, it's new and it's not broken in, and some of that stuff will even out. But even on the other one I had, it just needed those little tweaks and adjustments from time to time. That's one mild disadvantage over, say, a brand new Japanese bike that's just going to start and run fine every time you hit the button. It's unlikely you're going to need to do any adjusting. This is a bike that you put together yourself, and it costs $2,000, so, you know, understand that you're going to have to tweak and adjust it, and you need to be comfortable with that. Now, it's a great bike to learn that kind of thing on. So I'm not saying if you don't know how to do that, you shouldn't get this bike. I'm saying you need to be willing to do it or willing to learn it. This is really beginner friendly, really mistake friendly bike. It's really hard to mess it up. It's dead simple, easy to work on. Everything's easy to get to. You make an adjustment, it doesn't work, you just go back and tweak it back the other way. Like whatever, it's not a big deal. You have to be willing and able and interested in doing that kind of thing. Man, the windstorm up here. So I haven't been up here in a while. And there's a lot. We had a crazy windstorm the other day and lots of branches down. Just putting around up here. It's a new area for me. And so if that's what you want to do, if that's what you want this bike for, if it's a putting around the woods, exploring, you know, you can even take it camping. I went moto camping on this, strapped a bunch of giant loop gear to it, made a video of it. Check that out. It's fine for that. If you don't expect too much of it, I always say this bike will do everything any other dual sport will do, just slower. And that's not 100% true, but it will do 80%. You know, you're not going to do the most wicked hill climbs or most crazy technical stuff because it doesn't have the most suspension travel or the most power. It's not going to get you up the heaviest, hardest stuff. It's just not a thing it's going to do. I got to move another damn tree. I'm not taking my helmet off this time, so you're just going to have to watch from the Dork perspective. This is good, though. It means these roads never get used. I'm unlikely to be messed with up here. Wow. There we go. Problem solved. There she is in all her glory in the woods. I need to take some pictures. It's perfectly capable. This idea that it can't do some of the things you need to do, that's just not true. It can and will, just slower and less comfortably, but the price. What's the cheapest Japanese dual sport you can buy? A DR200? Somewhere in the neighborhood of $5,000–6,000, right? $2,000, $2,300 to your door. This bike, it's just, you can't beat that deal. You can't. Another comment I get a lot is, well, I'll just buy a used Japanese bike for that. And yeah, you can, that's totally valid. And I actually did that. If you remember, I bought my daughter an XT250. It's a 2006 for Christmas last year. It cost me $2,000. So it cost me the same as this bike. And it has a lot of quirks. It came with a lot of mods, so that's one advantage to a used bike, because you get extra mods and stuff. But that bike had a lot of quirks and funny things, and honestly, it stopped running about 2 months in, and I had to take it to Yamaha, and it cost me $800 to have a new stator put in. So I'm into that bike $2,800, and I'm into this bike $2,000 or $2,300. I guess my point is there are advantages and disadvantages to both choices, and it just depends on what you want to get out of the bike and how you plan on using it. So value-wise, a brand new motorcycle that no one else has messed with for $2,000, you just can't beat it. It's the best value in dual sport motorcycling. You know, you could get a Hawk, they're slightly cheaper, they're not as nice. If you want to dip your toe into the sport, but you're not sure if you're going to like it, this is a great bike because it is easy to just turn around and sell it for what you paid. I see them all the time for sale, and it shocks me what they go for considering I know what they cost. So quality and reliability concerns, again, this is a motorcycle that is based on an old Japanese design. I will admit that quality control is probably hit or miss. There probably are some lemons out there, but these are the bikes that are all over China, Southeast Asia. They send tens of thousands of them to South America all the time, and people are riding them as their only vehicle. You see these pictures of people like with all this chickens and stuff stacked on their bikes? Those are bikes like this, and they put up with all that abuse. So you're telling me they can do all that and they're not going to stand up to somebody putting around in the woods or doing some light trail riding? I mean, come on. You got to be willing to wrench on it. You may need to buy parts from time to time. It's going to be fine for what it is, and that's what you got to remember is if you expect it to be good as a brand new Japanese bike, you're going to be disappointed. But that's not what it is. Compare it to the best used bike you can find, and you've got yourself a brand new one that you get to put all the dings and dents on, you know? It's totally cool, totally fine. And I will admit, the reliability thing makes me wary to take this thing deep into the backcountry. I don't think I recommend it as like a BDR bike, as a going deep into the woods camping bike. But as a day tripping, screwing around, riding out from home bike that's plenty capable, also street legal, so you can take it anywhere. That's a huge advantage. This bike is street legal in every state in the United States, except for California. They don't ship to Canada, I don't think. People always ask me about parts availability. I lost the cap to my rear brake reservoir on the first one, and Jeff had me a whole new rear brake reservoir in 2 days. So they have all the parts you could possibly need there at Peace Sports. The point is, if you need parts, they're there. You have to put it together yourself, so if you're concerned about that, I have done it twice now, and I am a person of limited mechanical aptitude. I'm definitely better now than I was the first time, and it took me a lot less time. The first time it took me about 8 or 10 hours, which is too long. The second time I did it in about 4. It's not too difficult to put together. I made a video on that you can check out too. I also have a video on the first one I put together. So there's lots of content in the Brozz playlist. So I guess people ask me, would you recommend it? And I would to a certain person. If you're looking for a high performance bike, don't get this bike. If you're a person with a ton of experience on dual sport bikes, you're a good rider, you have spent a lot of time riding, unless you just want something to beat on, you're going to be disappointed with this bike. If you're a brand new rider, and you're willing to tweak and mess around with like the throttle and the clutch and all that, just minor adjustments. I'm not talking about adjusting the valves, although you do need to do that on this bike. You know, this is a good bike. This is a good bike for you. It's a good bike to start with. It's an excellent second bike, a buddy bike to just keep around. You're trying to get your kid or your significant other into riding, and you don't want to spend a bunch of money on something that you're not sure you'll get your money back out of. This is a good bike for that. So there's a lot of value in this motorcycle, but you have to understand that it comes with, you know, some significant caveats, because it's not the nicest, most reliable, fastest, highest performance bike in the world that has quirks. But it's definitely worth the $2,000. That's my opinion. Is it worth what it costs? Yes. Is it worth a lot more than that? I don't know. Probably not. Would I pay $3,000 for the same bike? I mean, you'd think about it, but wouldn't be my first choice. I took the other one trail riding. It did fine. You know, it'll go reasonably fast. You can piss wind it all day because it's air cooled. It's a fun little bike. It's a fun little beater bike. That's what it is to me. If you have a farm or something you need to get around on, but you also want a bike that's street legal that you can run to town, great bike for that, you know. Excellent motorcycle for that. You want to learn to ride off-road? It's a good bike for that, because you don't care what you do to it. You just don't care. Should you buy this bike? Maybe, but that isn't because of the bike, it's because of you. Are you the type of person that can appreciate the limitations of this bike and get a lot of use out of it and understand the value of a cheaper bike like this? Then get it. If you're like, I need the highest performance bike, or even a high performance bike, or the most reliable bike, no, don't get this bike. Don't get it. You're going to be disappointed. You're going to find reasons not to like it. If you want more in-depth, I spent a lot of time working on the last review, and I just don't think I have a lot of new thoughts about it. I stand by what I said then, so check out that review video, which I will link for you, on the 2020, and take out the parts about the small front wheel and the stupid alarm that wasn't that useful. But yeah, I'm going to putt around on this for a while longer, maybe take some pictures. So if you got any questions about the Brozz, leave them in the comments. I have a subscriber, Paulie, J. Paulie, who bought a Brozz based on my initial review 2 years ago, and he has like a ton of miles on his. He's running it all the time. He actually bought another Chinese bike. He has a CSC, their adventure bike. I can't remember the name of it right now, but there's some real world experience. I'm sure Paulie will pop up in the comments, but I'm heartened by the fact that he's had such a good experience and hasn't felt the need to move on to something else yet. Please consider subscribing if you haven't, because like I said, I want to be your internet riding buddy, and I'm better than your other riding buddies because they don't have a mute button, and I do. But for now, and as always, I just want to say thank you very much for watching, and please do not forget to be excellent to each other. Oh, thank you.
Excellent!
Wow. Look at the valley today. It is freaking January 3rd. This weather's way too nice. It's a little cold, but it is nice today. Whoa, cool, look at that heron. Great blue heron, or crane. I think we have cranes and not heron. No, it's a heron, great blue heron. We have herons around here, look at it. It's tiny as hell on the camera, but that is a huge bird. He just landed in a tree. Did you know they did that? She's a ripper. Right over this log. Okay. What log? It's a branch, admittedly, but still. Well, what's sliding some coming up this? Look at that. It's muddier than it looks down here.